All right, we're back. We're ready. Okay,
We're ready.
So I'm here with Jackson Hoag, Brandon Still, two solid real estate agents, younger. How old are you guys?
32.
32.
26.
26, okay.
Yeah.
We had women on here last time. I couldn't ask them that question. So,
Height and weight, too? You want that?
yeah, for real. No, we're not doing that game. First off, how long have each of you, and you can go first and then you can answer after, how long have you guys been in the real estate profession?
Yeah, so for me, been in the real estate profession for 7 or 8 years now. 2017 is when I got my license. So basically out of college or out of high school, and really kind of had it part-time out of school, was doing it as I was in college for friends and family, stuff like that. And then really didn't kind of pick it up full-time until July of 2023. And then was working with my parents and kind of at their little small mom and pop firm. And then from there, ended up meeting Jackson probably, September, October maybe of 2023. So a couple months after I went full-time. Just found him on social media and liked what he was doing and DM'd him, and we got lunch, and the rest was history. So that's kind of for me.
That's awesome. What about you?
Yeah, so this is year 5 in real estate. Previous was in sales in corporate America. Did that for a couple years. During COVID, decided to get my license along with about probably 1,500 other people. So, during COVID, got my license, really didn't get started until probably 2021 was kind of my first year fully in real estate. So, yeah, working on this year will be year 5. Didn't really, had a pretty good first year. Lots to learn the first year, more learning and growth in that realm. But kind of 22, 23 kind of found a stride and started to pick up. From there, and then met Brandon in 23, and we've kind of just partnered together and just been growing ever since.
Heck yeah. No, you guys are a great example of a lot of people think, I was told this by a buddy, that, I would take 10 years to really get clients under my belt and stuff. And you guys are proof that that is not the case. I mean, it does not take these years of, okay, I spent a year to get one client, and then I spent 2 years to get my 4th client and stuff like that. So I really think that you guys are a great example of that. What would you credit the most to that success, that quicker, instant success?
Yeah, I think for me in particular, I've kind of been lucky to grow up in the area and have a good kind of database from that. But my dad and grandpa always said, if you want something, then you got to go talk to people, especially in the sales business. My dad grew up doing kind of flea markets, furniture sales, like all kinds of different things, real estate. He got his license when he was 17, and the judge had to sign off on it in Little Rock. So they've kind of always been in it, and that was always the thing, like, doing the simple things of going to talk to people. And I think, especially when Jackson got his license, when I got my license, we were both really young guys, and it's easy to say, man, it's, we're too young. Nobody's going to trust us with some of their biggest purchases of their life. But the truth is, if you know what you're doing and you have knowledge on the service that you're providing, and you have high integrity and you're willing to work, then there's really no limit to what you can do. So
that's really good.
Yeah, that's good. I think to Brandon's point, real estate's really a conversational contact sport. So, God gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. So I think really just diving into your clients and fully understanding what their needs are, and then being able to provide the service based off their needs back to them. So, the more you understand about the client, the better you can help them.
Absolutely.
And so, I think that's kind of where bringing that value, leading with value, can really help stand out and help your clients to the best.
Yeah. No, I think that's really good. I mean, that's exactly how I've always seen it. My personal business, media and production, I've noticed the same thing. I got landed a Walmart shoot the other day, and it was one of the biggest shoots I've taken on. And the only reason was because I made a phone call to a girl that worked at Walmart that was a friend of mine, a previous friend. And I got the gig, and they loved it. They're hiring me for a bunch more stuff. So
That's awesome.
And it was all because, like you said, it was that connection, the personal connection, the integrity, being skillful at your craft, no matter what your age is. So that's really good. Do you think, and this is a controversial one, a lot of people dog on it. I know you two are big proponents of it. Does cold calling still work?
Absolutely. Yeah, that's Jackson and I's bread and butter, I would say, really. And, it wasn't something that I was doing personally, and it's something that when Jackson and I kind of joined together, finally, that was his bread and butter. And would love for you to kind of give an idea on what that started from. But for me, again, like we were just talking about, it's a contact sport, and there's only so much. I think even if you weren't cold calling and you were only focusing on your database and you were talking to them on a regular basis, there's so much success to be had with that. But if you can widen that base and you're willing to talk to more people, the opportunity that can come through that, and we see it every day when we're doing it. So
yeah. So to answer the question, I think between the two of us, we closed out roughly 35 million last year. And looking back at that volume and the stats behind it, probably 35 to 40% of that was initially from cold outreach. So whether that be, we have a specific buyer who's looking in Huemount Village subdivision. There's just nothing for sale. That maybe they want something bigger than what currently is for sale. So we'll do cold outreach to help try to find some off-market deals for our buyers. Or it could be maybe we just sold a property in downtown Fayetteville, and it sold for the highest comp in the last year. So we'll call and let other homeowners in the area know, hey, we just closed out this property. It sold for $230 a square foot, highest price point in the neighborhood. Because of that, your home value's gone up. So really just leading with value. People love to know that their highest asset is appreciating in value. So again, just kind of to the value point, if you're leading with value, people appreciate that, and they'll remember you when they have a real estate need.
100%.
Yeah, I think that, just to piggyback off that though, I think that's the reason that it's so easy for us to continue to do it, is because every way that we are calling, it's adding value to every party involved, and it's letting them know about their home value going up, letting them know about things going on in their neighborhood, sales that we've done or somebody else has done, or hey, we've got a buyer that is directly interested in your neighborhood, and if they're interested in selling, then it makes an easy match for them and stuff like that. It's all just adding value, and it's not what most people would think cold calling is. I'm selling them on the phone and I'm trying to get a deal on the phone, and that's not the case for us. It's adding value to people, continuing to add value to them over time, and eventually, hopefully, they'll choose us.
Yeah. I think that's really cool too, because in y'all's industry, it is such a people-based industry. It's such a communication-based industry. So you're just starting it that way. Instead of making them start it with you, you're just kind of initiating that first conversation. But I feel like a lot of clients would actually really like that, because they want an agent that's going to be hunting deals and looking for them. And so in the same way you might cold call someone, I know if I got a cold call like that, that's not really even, like you said, trying to sell me. It's just trying to offer value to me.
Yeah.
I know you're going to be equipped to do the same thing when selling my house to the next guy, or whatever it is. And so it's a really smart thing you guys are doing. And I think that drive you guys have to do that, because it's not easy. It's clearly anyone could do it, and they don't. So
Sure.
I think you guys are definitely onto something, and it's really, really cool to see. So kind of shifting gears a little, what would you say is a trend you guys have seen? I know we're only first quarter still, but what is a trend you've seen in this market that kind of sticks out to you?
Yeah, so Jackson and I were talking about this a little before we popped in here, but I think the biggest thing that I'm seeing, and this mostly kind of pertains to buyers and folks that are looking out there in the market, is just the kind of the sheer bulk that new construction is taking over the total sales of Northwest Arkansas. And so I think historically I've heard stats anywhere around 15% of total sales historically would make up new construction and of the total sales. And as of right now, it kind of fluctuates here and there, but on average, it's probably around 30% of the total sales in the market are new construction. And obviously some of those factors being like a lot of people are stuck in their rates and maybe they're not willing to move, or they've rented that place and they've looked at the next one. And so you're locked in those rates and things like that. But again, some of the things that we talk about all the time, and the biggest trend is that these builders bringing on opportunities are able to offer some really great incentives for buyers that are really hard to beat. And you can end up getting in the most recent one I've seen. I showed some property last week that they were basically offering around $25,000 in concession for someone to purchase the home. And, you can use that towards closing costs and blinds and gutters and you name it. So, I mean, having to compete with that as an existing home in the same area, it's tough for sure.
That is very tough. Well, and didn't Rosh Coleman just get bought out?
Yeah. Yep.
Who bought them?
Lennar. So I think that's another cool thing about what's happening here is you have DR Horton, the biggest home builder in the country, by double the next one is here now and for the last couple of years now. And then Lennar just did $1 billion acquisition of Roush Coleman, and now they're here. And so it feels like, okay, now we have all of our affordable options. We've got our micro builders that build more luxury and things like that. And it's just a matter of how quickly they can put them up now.
Yeah.
So.
And they've gotten pretty good at that.
They have, yeah. And I think to Brandon's point, we're seeing this heavy push towards new construction with inventory levels just being as low as they are, and new builders just can't keep up with the demand. But another interesting stat that we kind of pulled was 60% of new construction was in suburb communities outside of the Big Four, what we call the Big Four in Northwest Arkansas: Fayetteville, Springdale, Rogers, and Bentonville. So 60% of those new construction homes that sold were in areas like Lowell, like Farmington, Cave Springs, Highfill. A lot of big builders have some developments up there. So I think home buyers are able to get more bang for their buck on a property and still be able to rationalize, we're 10 to 15 minutes from the interstate, but if we push out a little bit, we'll be able to really get the home that we've been looking at in that price range. So
I completely agree with that. That's what I've seen a lot with, like, Centerton, for example. I know it ranked amongst, like, one of the top fastest growing cities in America. Yeah. And I was like, Centerton of all, but
crazy. It's
obviously because of Bentonville, like you said, they get a little more bang for their buck pushing outside of Bentonville, but you're still only 10 minutes from Bentonville. So
right. Yeah. And then we were looking at some other stats too of kind of where inventory was of new construction and existing pre-pandemic, and we're still just about, as of January of 2025 compared to like 2019 January, we're still about 1,000 homes short of where we were then. And so again, just back to the point of the builders can't keep up with it. We've got 30 to 32 people moving here per day, maybe more. It kind of keeps changing. So it's just, it's interesting. It'll be interesting to see kind of how they continue to keep up.
Yeah.
So.
No, that's really cool. I think Lennar coming here, competing in that realm as well. I mean, they take into factors, obviously, like who's already here. And so clearly they see that there's still not enough happening here to put that much money and time into this area. So it's exciting to see. I got to shoot the Walmart new home office the other day, and
incredible.
I mean, that right there showed me why it's happening.
Yeah.
So
It's special.
It is super, super special. Do you guys think we're going to see, if you had to predict, I know it's crazy times, it's crazy to predict the market exactly. What would you estimate, though, for the rest of this year you're going to see?
Yeah, I think if we really looked at it, I think we're going to continue to outpace inflation, at least on home prices. So, if inflation's at least at the target price of 2 to 3%, I think Northwest Arkansas is going to be probably 4 to 5%. I think we've seen higher in most scenarios over the past few years if you took out the huge jumps in 21, 22, stuff like that. So I think that'll continue, and that's just based off supply and demand. Again, just that we don't have enough inventory, and we've got all of the demand in the world right now.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and I think the further we get away from the irregularity that was COVID year, you know, and how crazy the housing market just flipped instantly, I think you'll start seeing less excuses. I know before we started, you were talking about clients saying, we're waiting on the election, but then that's passed. I mean, and I've seen a lot of that. I've seen a lot of, well, we're waiting on interest to come down. Well, no one's saying that's going to happen anytime soon. So, like, there's a lot of these excuses that people keep having, but I feel like at a certain point, it's like, all right, back to reality. This is what we got. We don't know what's happening next. So is it the right decision? Would you agree?
Yeah, 100%. I think there's a lot of fear in the home buying process, of just fear of the unknown, always waiting for the best opportunity, timing the market, whereas we all know time in the market wins every time. So if you look at kind of the statistics and data, 2023, we saw days on market was in the 65, 70 range. Last year, we're creeping up to the 80 range. So it's taking longer to sell a home, but when you look at the price per square foot, that's also increased. So $214 a square foot roughly in Northwest Arkansas in 23, and $230 a square foot last year. So I think we're going to continue to trend upwards in price per square foot, home appreciation. As far as expectations for this year, I think it's going to be a pretty busy year. We've seen quite a bit of surge in, I feel like typically spring market kind of starts March, and we've put, probably 10 or 11 homes under contract just this month in February for buyers that you typically don't see that type of activity till March. So I think we're going to see a lot more homes being sold.
Yeah, that's what Abby Hill had said last month on the podcast, was she has never seen a January, February the way that it's already been.
For sure. I think I would even add, too, I think the realization that rates aren't really going anywhere. And if you really look at history, the last time that, any time that rates have really dropped between, I think it was like even below 5%, it came from a catastrophic event of like COVID or the '08 crash or things like that. And so it's just like, if you look at it, this is probably where we're going to be, around 5 to 6 for a long time. And especially if you're in an area like Northwest Arkansas or another really growth area, you know, if you want to wait for rates, you're probably going to miss out on appreciation opportunity. And I think people are starting to really realize that. So.
Yeah. Well, and not to sound like arrogant about it, but when I was home buying personally, for me and my family, I realized the rate difference, it's significant, but on your monthly payment and stuff, it's not like don't buy a house right now, different, especially running the risk of, like you said, this area, it continues to increase. You continue to pay more price per square foot. So who cares about perhaps an interest rate that's a few percent points higher when you get in at a better price? And so I definitely agree with that. What would you guys say is some advice you would give to buyers or sellers right now? So if someone came to you, and you can give both, you could do buyer, you could do seller, but what would you say if someone was like, hey, you think it's a good time to buy? What should I be doing? What should I be looking for?
Yeah, I think we're talking about this as well right before this, but I think for buyers, a big thing that I've seen lately, especially, is just being a first mover, and in a market that is as competitive as we are, it goes a long way to move quickly and to be kind of I guess clear on, if you like the house, you're looking to make an offer, being the first one in, and being able to come in firm. And oftentimes you're able to find situations on a house that may typically get multiple offers if you're able to kind of come in quick enough and move quick enough. And obviously that requires your schedule lining up and requires an agent that's willing to line it up quickly for you as well, like Jackson and I, of course. But I think what we've seen is you're able to typically get more out of a seller, whether that be closing costs or whether that be, a home warranty or any kind of things that you're trying to negotiate in. If you're willing to move quickly, we're kind of seeing that there's an advantage there for you.
Are you still seeing a bunch of competition in the market where there's 3 or 4 offers on a house?
Yeah, honestly, I haven't offered on a house. Maybe offered one of the last 8 or 9 has not had multiple offers.
Wow.
I don't know if that's because we're shopping in in good areas, but that's just how it's been. And so, I mean, you're at least 2 to 3 offers every house that we've offered on lately.
Well, and like you said, it all goes back to supply and demand. So it doesn't really even matter if the market's as hot, quote unquote, as it was. It's all about the supply that's out there anyway. So I think that's really good. What would you say about kind of the opposite end? If you were a seller right now, is it a great time, or what would you say?
Yeah, really great question. Time is dependent. It's different for everybody. So the best time is whenever you do need to sell your situation. So if you go back and look at the data, 80 days to sell a house in Northwest Arkansas is the average, right? So whereas when we went during COVID, we were seeing numbers of, as soon as it was listed, you had 8 offers on it, and it sold 50,000 over list price. So I think in today's market, choosing the right agent matters, and how that agent is going to strategically market the property. So, with Collier and Associates, we have Collier Connect, where we can kind of pre-market our properties, and start the process before it even hits the MLS. And then, just having the right agent and the right marketing plan in place, it might, the average is 80 days, but if you have the right agent and the right marketing plan, and it's positioned right, priced right, it could fly off the shelves with multiple offers. We've seen several do that here lately.
Okay, yeah. Have you guys used Collier Connect quite a bit?
For sure. Yeah, actually, I had a buyer that I won because of Collier Connect, and was able to kind of, for their situation, they called me off of my sign, but I quickly kind of figured out the areas that they wanted to be in. Collier Connect had some off-market opportunities that fit those needs, and sent them over, and they were quickly like, we weren't working with anybody. We want to work with you because you're kind of bringing up these opportunities. And that's really what Jackson and I, outside of just Collier Connect, that's what Jackson and I really like to show clients that we can do is, and that's our bread and butter, is we are able to find off-market properties, and that's our specialty. Okay. And that's through cold calling, like we talked about earlier, and that's through some of our other marketing campaigns. But yeah, that's huge. But I think the big thing is, we, like we've talked about before, kind of use our big levers, which are cold calling and which are some of our mailing campaigns and stuff like that. But it provides scenarios that, you say kind of getting ahead of the game a little bit. A recent scenario that I've got right now going is, I've got some clients and they want to be in specific neighborhood. They love the neighborhood. They've got friends in there. That's a lot of what we find in our business, especially for buyers. And we kind of start our marketing plan and we pull that together for them. And that in this specific scenario, they've got a house to sell, and everything that comes up on the market gets multiple offers, and it's hard for them to compete with a contingency. But with our marketing plan, okay, as of yesterday, I've got an opportunity for them off market. We could work with their timeline. We could work with they don't have to worry about their contingency either, or competing with other offers. And now they have a scenario, kind of a win-win scenario for everybody, because it's easy for the seller, and they were planning on listing in a month, but now it's going to be easy for them. They have it locked up and they don't have to worry about it. The buyer gets something that's kind of exclusive to them, and then it's kind of, everybody kind of wins. But that's kind of the situations that we like to create, and Jackson can kind of elaborate on that a little bit.
Yeah, that's good. So just adding back to the value add, that's everything in this business. Being able to stay ahead of the market, providing any opportunity that is available to our clients, whether it's something we prospect out, outbound prospecting, whether it's a Collier Connect listing, an old expired in the neighborhood that didn't sell, something in our internal database, just being able to provide, every aspect possible for our clients. We had an interesting or a unique one last year. He had a coming soon listing that we were just talking about, and it happened to be exactly what my client was looking for. And so we were able to create an off-market opportunity where I brought the buyer, he repped the seller, and both parties were ecstatic. So,
we find that all the time where Jackson and I are kind of we're sitting at our desk and working through these scenarios, and I'm like, well, actually, I got a guy that told me he's looking to sell here pretty soon, and he's got a buyer that's looking for that neighborhood, and it's just even between us two having those conversations, we're able to create opportunities that we've kind of worked for in the past already through cold calling and through some of our other marketing channels. So
yeah. All right, so you guys are working kind of throughout the market. You work with investors, which we'll get into in a minute. I know you guys, I've helped you with some duplex deals and stuff like that, which is really cool. I know a lot of young people are super excited about that. It's kind of a trend right now. But what would you say first about relocation in this area? Obviously a hot topic. Walmart, Tyson Hunt, we've got relo all around us. Are you guys working with a lot of relo clients?
I would say for me, not particularly. We in my experience, mostly kind of focusing on half investors, half folks kind of looking that are already in the area looking to buy or sell. Of course, we help those clients. So I've got folks that are moving from Branson, folks that are moving from California and other areas. Love Branson, but yeah, specifically, I wouldn't say that's an area that we niche in particularly, but yeah.
Fair enough. Have you seen a lot of movement though in the market with that? Have you noticed like maybe you're selling a property and you're seeing an increase in buyers from relocation?
For sure.
Yeah. So, 35 families a day relocating to Northwest Arkansas, which is quite a bit. So, I've worked with families from California relocating, Tulsa relocating, Wyoming relocating, so kind of all across. And when they think of Arkansas, a lot of people have a negative connotation of Arkansas, like we don't wear our shoes, things like that. So, I always say spend the weekend, come up here. We've got a lot to offer. We've got the University of Arkansas, SEC school, WUPIG. We've got Bella Vista, the mountain biking capital of the world. We've got 3 Fortune 500 companies all within 15 minutes from each other, and tons of entertainment. So I think a weekend someone can really come up here and just take the trip up the interstate and figure out what their niche is, because every city has their own vibe to it, and they're all different in their own ways.
Yeah, no, I agree. I've traveled a lot with work stuff, and I always just there is nothing quite like Northwest Arkansas. You get a different vibe with every city, like you said. The amount of growth we have, that new home office I was talking about. I mean, the things that are still not even done here. I know Bella Vista has that new mountain biking, bike in, bike out resort coming. I mean, we've got some insane things.
Yeah, I think the important thing too for relocation folks to know is some of those future developments that are coming that maybe most people don't know about, just kind of looking at the areas from a high level view. But working with guys like Jackson and I, like we have a good pulse, and a lot of other great agents in Collier and Associates probably have a great pulse too, but of what's coming to the area and what kind of new developments are going to create a more walkable, everybody wants to have a walkable area with shops and, places to eat and things like that. And so I think that's an important thing to know as you're kind of as you look at relocation clients looking at Northwest Arkansas outside of what we are now. What are we trending towards, and what kind of developments are coming for the future? So
I completely agree. And I think that people who are moving here, whether you're being forced to with work or choosing to come to this area, you're getting a pretty good deal, because I know like California clients, for example, some of my buddies from California moved here, and they couldn't believe the prices they were getting. Their apartment in LA cost more than the house that they bought. That was a 4-bedroom. And so they were thrilled. So I know, is that what's kind of driving up this price as well, you think, is these 35 families that have a lot more money coming from these big cities?
Yeah, I would say so. California pricing, everything's selling in the millions over there, and they can come with cash to the table and outbid anybody else. But yeah, just the overall growth. I mean, we crested over 500,000. And then we're projected to be at 1 million by 2050. So, I mean, we're going to double in size in essentially 25 years, which is crazy to think about. But we've got a lot of big innovative thinkers in Northwest Arkansas that are collaborating and you know, growing together. So to create that infrastructure, you know, you need a lot of big movers in the industry, and I think we've got that here in Northwest Arkansas.
I agree. So pivoting into the big movers and the investors, the people that are kind of making these developments happen, you guys, I'm not mistaken, right? You guys do work pretty heavily with some investors, correct? Yep. Nice. What have you guys seen in that industry right now? Like, obviously, trying to turn a profit on doors. Like, you can hit the Airbnb industry, whatever, wherever you guys kind of want to go with it.
Yeah. Definitely a lot of folks from, I work with a lot of folks from New York, Chicago that are looking for, you know, they're seeing the basis here compared to, you know, let's say in Austin or let's say a Dallas or some other areas, and it's still at a pretty low rate, price per door. We're obviously getting up there quite a bit, but I think you also look at you know, the vacancy rates across Northwest Arkansas, and not only in multifamily and residential, and those kind of sitting around 3%. Oftentimes, most of the year in Fayetteville, in this last year, they were under 2%, which is kind of unheard of. When I think the national average is probably 8 to 10%, maybe.
That's insane.
And so we're just well below that, not only in residential but in commercial as well. I think the commercial vacancy rate is around here is maybe 5-6%, where the national average is definitely at least double that, maybe if not closer to 12-15%, something like that.
And that really helps these investors mitigate risk, correct?
For sure, yeah. And I think they're seeing, back to, you know, those future developments that we talked about, I think they're seeing some of those opportunities that are coming up. And when you have, you know, the Waltons and the Hunts and others that have staked their feet in the ground here and that are openly saying, we want to invest in Northwest Arkansas and make this the best place to live and play and work. You know, I think when guys like us look at the writing on the wall like that, and we're like, man, what we see what it's going to be in 20 years, it's kind of hard to not want to try to buy everything you possibly can, at least from our perspective.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think that's great. Yeah, I mean, just being here in Northwest Arkansas, I mean, we see it every day. We drive by it. We hear about it from just conversations, you know, meetings. So we see it. But when you look at it from a national perspective, they might not necessarily see it every day like we do. But there's, you know, bigger pockets, news outlets that are coming out with the, I think one in particular has come out with the highest appreciating markets year over year in the nation. And Northwest Arkansas has been on it in the top 5 the past, I think, 3 to 4 years. So from an outside looking in standpoint, you've got a lot of investors with eyes on Northwest Arkansas.
Yeah.
And, you know, cash flow might not be there, but they're seeing the appreciation trends and hopping in and riding it out.
Well, and even if cash flow is not there, you still have the opportunity to, I mean, I know I would be thrilled to net even on a property knowing that it's going to inflate over time in this hot of an area. And then who cares if I make nothing right now?
Right.
I go to sell that thing, I'm going to have a good amount of cash stuck in it. So
yeah, I think you're seeing, like, we really don't have a great inventory set of like older apartment buildings like maybe a Dallas or other cities have that need value add. I mean, we have a fair amount here, but it's kind of gotten picked up and it's kind of, you know, most of that is kind of turning over. And so I think the biggest opportunity probably at this point is just new developments. So new apartment buildings, new warehouse space, new industrial, stuff like that maybe other areas don't have that kind of opportunity.
Yeah.
So,
well, and I feel like we're still, like you said, with the Dallas market or any other market you take, compared to any market outside of Northwest Arkansas, we still have a very low inventory of all those things. For example, My dad sold a warehouse space in Springdale off Wagon Wheel, and it went for $8-9 million, and there was nothing near that amount of square feet off the interstate. Like, everyone calling him was like, yeah, we think it's okay. And he's like, okay, so you're not going to make an offer? They're like, no, we're gonna, because we have to. There's nothing else.
Right.
Yeah, it's like, I think you could take any niche, whether it's multifamily, warehouse, commercial, whatever it is, and apply kind of a similar thing, correct?
Right, 100%. Yeah, I think that's the thing. It's and you have a lot, you're starting to have a lot of this turnover and a lot of the same, like we have a lot of clients that are looking for the same thing, maybe 50 plus units value add in Northwest Arkansas. Well, I talked to Jordan, another agent in our office the other day. She's got the same handful of clients that are looking for the same things. And so the market for what is desirable out there is tight. And so, and land keeps getting more expensive. And so kind of back to what we were talking about, 60% of that development happening out on these outskirts towns. I think that's where there's a lot of opportunity for investors that can develop, have experience doing it, is developing in those areas that, people continue to move out to and try to find more affordable options.
So fun little side game, because this made me think of it. What would you guys' prediction be, and I have one as well, on what outskirt town is kind of the next big one? Centerton kind of had its run in 23, I think, and was ranked top nationally. What do you think's kind of next around here?
It's a good question. I know what kind of sub-market I have my eyes on. I wouldn't say it's an outskirt, but the whole Johnson Square area.
Fantastic.
I mean, that area right off the interstate, close to hospitals, close to University of Arkansas, close to I-49. Lots of development around there. You've got the Johnson Warehouse District, huge commercial development being put right across the street from the Johnson Square. That place is just booming over there. So I love it personally. I'm bullish on it. Outside, pushing out market, I would say maybe Highfill.
That's mine.
Close to XNA. That's where the big builders are buying dirt. Follow them, and that's where the growth will be.
I agree.
For sure. Yeah, agreed. I think if you look at every major city out there, and you come in on a plane and you land and you see like housing developments always surround the airport and stuff like that. So it'll be there at some point. It's not there yet, obviously, but it will be there, and I think it'll be a huge growth market. I love Lowell. I think Lowell is the future. I've seen a lot of plans for some really great developments out there, high dollar luxury developments, but I think there will be a lot of other opportunities. You're seeing Riverwood out there right now. DR Horton, I know there will be more. Shearer Mitchell's got some land out there I've seen. So it's easy proximity to get north and south. J.B. Hunt used to call Lowell the center of the universe. And I think that's going to be important for a lot of folks. Yeah. So
I really appreciate you guys being on here. This is awesome insight. We will link you guys' info below for anyone who wants to work with these smart dudes and get a great deal out of it. So thanks, guys.
Yeah,
appreciate
it.
Thank you.